So several years ago, I came across an idea that I sort of found by accident. I was originally searching for some way to figure out how to teach people how they can create their own style. And through trying to understand style and trying to uncover why it is that I can wear certain things that other people can't pull off, and why other people can pull off certain things that I can't do, and still seem congruent. And I was trying to figure out why that was. And as I was going through that process, I came across something that really, it was just sort of a discovery that underlies pretty much everything that we will be studying with the Tao of Badass and with all of these courses, including my Hacking Attraction course. And that is the idea that there are three major components to being confident as a man, three different major stages. And the first stage is a stage I call Who Am I? The Who Am I stage is where you figure out who you are, whoever you are, and then me, I figure out who I am. So in this stage, I'm trying to focus as much as possible on trying to uncover some of the dark parts of myself to see why it is that I have certain insecurities and things like that. Once I understand myself and I feel pretty comfortable, then I move on to the second stage, which is the Who Are You stage. It's where we try to find out who other people are and we try to peg them. And a lot of people start out in this stage because it's just more comfortable. So that's where we try to figure out who they are. And the final stage is how do I show you who I am? That's a stage where I take myself and I know who you are and I try to figure out which part of me you are ready to see at this point, which part of me I should show to you in order to either attract you or be your friend or whatever it is that we feel like doing. At that point, I have complete power over the interaction. But there are miniature parts within these three different major stages. But the one I want to talk about today is the one that people overlook the most, and that is the Who Am I stage. You might call this inner game. Some people call it that. Call it whatever you'd like to. This is what builds your confidence. And so there are three major stages or sub-stages that make up the Who Am I stage. So if you want to figure out who you are and be confident with who you are and naturally attract women with your confidence, you're going to have to go through these three different steps. And I'm going to go through these three different steps over the next few weeks with you, and you're going to be learning them piece by piece until the end. And I really encourage you to do the exercises that go along with these. So the first component to the Who Am I stage is being proud of your past. And what I mean by that is that we all have things in our past that we're kind of running away from. I know that I did, and still kind of do to some extent. I still have some things that I'm not too excited about that I've kind of had to come to terms with. But that's not really the goal. The goal here isn't to get to the point where you've come to terms with the idea of your past, or you've gotten over your past, or you have let it go, so to speak. You want to actually become proud of it, proud of where you came from, because you cannot change your past, and it made you who you are today. And so you have to become proud of it. Otherwise, there's no way that you will be able to walk into a situation with a woman that you want to attract, or a group of women, or a bunch of people, and come across like you are actually confident if you're afraid or you're ashamed of something you've done in your past. So the way that you want to become proud of your past, the way that you can do that, is pretty simple, but it is not easy. So simple but not easy. You'll probably hear me say that a lot of times during this course, because a lot of things are simple in concept but not very easy to do. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to go over one of those ideas, and I want you to do an exercise with me, and I want you to break through it and come out the other side and start this really strong process to knowing who you are and becoming not just comfortable with it, but also very proud of it. So to give you a little background on me, one of the things that I had a hard time with was growing up poor. I grew up in a trailer park in Florida, and I had just it was a great childhood, to be honest. I had a go-kart and stuff when I was a kid. But the problem is I didn't feel like I was valuable at all to anybody. I felt like I was just, a trailer park kid. Who thinks of a trailer park kid as being valuable? I don't think anybody does. So I was fighting against that pretty much my whole childhood. And when I got to be an adult, it's something that still kind of haunted me. So I went back and I revisited this. And I had to become proud of that. I don't really know how. In the beginning, I didn't know how I was going to become proud of being growing up poor, or breaking out of that, or not associating with any of that stuff. I mean, my neighbors were all either crackheads, skinheads, or drunks. Essentially, people who had to live in a trailer park and And of course, I didn't see anything wrong with that because I was a kid and I didn't really know the difference. So to me, it was just kind of normal. But now that I get older, I find out it's not normal, and I felt kind of like an outcast. So this is one of the things that was holding me back. And when I'd get in front of a group of women and I'd start talking, as soon as something came out about money or someone being important or anyone made me feel inferior, I had this really knee-jerk, angry reaction, and it turned all the women off immediately. So I had to fix this problem. And, I went through all the process of trying to believe that I wasn't, like that anymore. That helped me to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, it's still where I came from, and I still felt like it was part of me. And so here's what I had to do, and here's what I want you to do as well. And this really opened up the doors for me and allowed me to really not just let that go, but really feel like I identify with it in a positive way that made me who I am. So what I want you to do is we're going to go through and uncover some things that you are ashamed of, some things that you wish you could probably take back or change, things that haunt you at nighttime or when you're alone, and things that you don't tell anybody else about, especially things that you don't tell anyone else about. These are things that saying these things makes you feel like you're a bad person, but it's something that happened to you or that you did in the past that allows you to sort of move forward and become who you are now. It's just that we don't like these things, and so we want to trade them out for other situations that we feel may have been better. For example, if I thought that I wanted to trade my trailer park days for growing up in a country club and being around professional golfers and things like that with a lot of money and being able to see a lot of money at one time to know that that's normal. So where I had this shadow issue around money, I wish that I didn't have that, and so I thought I wanted the other thing. So that's an example of one. And I want you to go ahead and think now and pause this video, and I want you to think of 3 things in the past that you're ashamed of. Things that you've had a really hard time letting go, things that sort of come up every once in a while, and things that whenever someone calls you out on these things, or it seems like they're calling you out on these things, you have a really angry or knee-jerk reaction that kind of makes your head fuzzy so you can't think. So what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video now, think of these 3 things, just top 3. You probably have several. I know I had more than 3. Think of these top 3 things for you, though, and write them down one by one. This is going to be a very emotional time, an emotional process, but do it anyway because it's really, really important to clean this out. If you don't clean it out, then women will see that you have baggage, and it will automatically turn them off away from you, and they'll go for a guy who they believe has more true confidence, which is what a guy who is proud of where he came from actually has. So, and if you've ever noticed that rich or successful people who are young that come from rich or successful families, they tend to be better with women. And we try to associate that with stuff that they have and not with who they are. But the reality is that the reason why they're more attractive to women is because they don't have some of the shadow issues that we do. They have totally different shadow issues, and those issues typically don't come out till later on in the relationship. And that's why a lot of women feel drawn to them in the beginning and then repelled by them later on. So go ahead and pause the video like I said now. Write down those top 3 things that you're ashamed of and restart the video as soon as you're done with that. Ready? Go. Okay, great. I know that was really difficult to do. I don't blame you if you had a hard time with that. And I know that for me, when I teach this in my course and I walk guys through this personally, I get a lot of, 9 out of 10 men will actually, grown men, will cry during this exercise because there are things that we don't want to admit to anyone that we are ashamed of. We're kind of looked at like we're supposed to be these rocks, these solid men who are supposed to be not emotionless, but not affected by anything negative. But the truth is that many of us and most of us have things that we wish we could take back. So now I want you to look at this list, read them off, and I want you to realize and just sort of think about this. If it wasn't for each of these situations exactly as they were, and either happening to you or that you did these mistakes, you wouldn't be in the situation that you're in right now, watching these videos, learning what you need to learn now. 99.9% of men in the world will never know this information, and it's going to put you in a massive, massive advantage. You'll be a great advantage maker after knowing all this information that I'm going to be teaching you now. And if it wasn't for those little things that you had issues with, that you were insecure about, that kind of caused you to go down this path, then you wouldn't be here in the first place. And because of that, you're now knocking on the door of a realm of knowledge that most men only dream exists and don't realize they need until it's too late. So I want you to be comfortable first, and if you can, try to really identify with this past of yours, these things you've done, and own up to them. And what I say is man up to them. And by that I mean look at them, accept them as being part of what made you who you are now, and this guy who's more attractive and more confident every day of his life. And I want you to recognize that they brought you to where you are now, and I want you to embody them, to accept them, and be proud of them. Because once you're proud of them, you're on your way to being proud of who you are. If you're proud of who you are, it comes across in your conversation, and you cannot fake that. I promise. And women can read your mind, and they'll see straight through if you're trying to fake it. So go ahead and look over your list one more time, and each one at a time, just accept it deeply. If you want to know what I mean, look at it, read what it says. For example, mine would say, I grew up in a trailer park, right? So yes, I did grow up in a trailer park, and as many times as people would like to insult me, when I was younger by calling me like trailer trash or white trash or something, I've grown into who I am now because of that experience. And I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have those shadow issues at the time to run away from that idea of being poor. And that's what made me successful like I am today. So I'm proud of being from the South and proud of being from the trailer park, because for me, that means that I had a unique experience and a unique perspective that gave me the knowledge that I have now and made me the personality type that I am now as well. And that personality type is perfect for what it is that I do. So I have these superpowers that have come because of this concept, and now that I've accepted them and I've sort of integrated them into my life, I'm able to feel comfortable moving forward. And until you accept these 3 things that you've written down, and any others that you might want to write down too, you will constantly self-sabotage. Always. You'll get really close to being able to attract really beautiful women and being very successful as a man, and then you will screw it up on purpose. It's all subconscious. You'll not call them back. You'll insult them without thinking. You will put your foot in your mouth over and over again. All these little things that we do, you'll run out of things to say, stuff like that. They're all a result of us feeling like we're not good enough or we don't deserve it because we've done things in the past that have held us back. So go ahead and embody those, accept those, and be proud of where you came from, because that's the first of 3 stages that you'll be taking in order to really be a powerful, attractive, confident, true to the core, confident inner game man. So thanks for watching today. I hope this has helped a lot. Please comment below and let me know what you think, and I'll answer any questions you have.